What would you do as a kid if you saw a strange man following you around, or even a clown at your doorstep wanting to get in? This is the Kidnap. Renya, a boy of elementary school age, awakes in the middle of the night from accidentally wetting the bed. "Ugh, not again," he thinks to himself. He goes to tell his mom what happened, but when he comes out of his room, he hears his mother yelling at his sister that she's annoying. The mother goes on to display more emotional abuse. "I wish I never gave birth to you," she shouts. Once his sister returns to her room, Renya goes to see his mother and observes her packing a suitcase with clothing. He starts to tell her what happened. "Don't talk to me," she says bluntly, interrupting him. This poor kid. Renya leaves the room quietly and goes across the hall to his sister. "Sis, I wet the bed again," he says, ashamed of himself. His sister, Sakiko, is comforting. She doesn't berate or embarrass Renya. She simply instructs him, "Bring your sheets here." Sakiko takes him downstairs and shows him how to use the washing and drying machines. "It's okay that this happens," she says, "but you have to be able to clean up after yourself when it does." After she shows Renya how to do the laundry, she tells him, "You'll be responsible for all the laundry from now on." What about mom?" he asks quietly. "Yeah, she's just abandoning her kids in the house." The siblings have been living without their mother for 2 months now. They don't do great at keeping up with chores. They manage to make very basic dishes to eat, but neglect to clean the dishes, take the trash outside, or clean the house overall. While eating dinner, Renya asks his sister, "Is mom ever coming home?" Sakiko snaps, "Of course she is." A few days later, Renya wakes up to grab his sheets from the laundry. He had another accident. He looks around for his sister, but doesn't see her anywhere. He checks everywhere in the house. Eventually, Renya summons enough courage to go outside to see if he can find his sister. It's storming outside. Renya doesn't even know where an umbrella might be, so he steps out into the storm without. The air is cold and frigid. The rain slicks to his skin, causing the cold to feel even chillier. "Sister!" he shouts in the storm as he walks down the road of his neighborhood. Renya screams for Sakiko until his throat is burning and raw. He's shivering from the cold. He gives up after what feels like hours and returns home. It's been days since Renya had seen his sister. She never came home the other night. She left no note and didn't tell him she was going anywhere. Renya continues to go to school, and let's be honest, what's more comforting to a child than a routine? In this situation, at least. At the end of the school day, the teacher warns Renya's class to avoid suspicious adults, and that a strange person dressed as a clown had been seen around. Renya rounds up his 3 friends, Keiji, Kohime, and Masahiro, and walks home from school. On the way home, the kids decide to play hide and seek in the local park. Renya is the designated seeker, and while searching for his friends, he notices a strange adult right outside the park, watching him. Oh boy, didn't the teacher mention strange adults? The man eventually approaches the group and asks to play as well. He doesn't take no for an answer and is quite pushy. The kids trick him into being a seeker, and since he's an adult, he needs to go into the tool shed in the middle of the park to count. Once he's inside, they quietly close the door behind him. I feel like he's probably going to be pretty mad now. The kids head off, leaving the man trapped inside. The 4 kids pass by a store on the way home. Masahiro dares Renya to go inside and steal something. Renya doesn't like the idea of stealing. "I also don't have much food at home, and I have no money," Renya thinks to himself. While inside the store, the man whom the group locked into the tool shed walks in. Renya attempts to not be seen, steals a drink and some snacks, and runs out the door without being caught. The kids walk home and break off into pairs as they live in separate neighborhoods. Renya and Kohime walk the rest of the way together. Kohime inquires about Sakiko, but Renya explains, "I don't know, she disappeared suddenly." Kohime explains that her mother apparently works in child services, and that if he needs help, they could go to her. Unfortunately, with how young the kids are, they don't see the actual dire situation that they're in. Almost home, Renya catch a glimpse of a clown behind the trees. The clown peers at Renya with an almost goofy expression. When Renya gets close, he eventually retreats deeper into the woods beyond view, never taking his eyes off the kids. They look around, trying to get a glimpse of the clown again, but to no avail. Oh, clowns! Renya arrives at home. The house was already in disarray, but without his sisters present, the house has gone down further. More trash is piled up. Dishes overflow the sink. Old, rotting food remains in pots. I can't believe these kids can't even just take the trash out after bagging it up. Leave a like if you're as appalled about this as I am. Renya makes cup noodles in the noodle cooker, does some homework, plays some video games. The doorbell rings. Renya checks the camera only to see the clown he saw before. The clown pushes his face close to the camera, before backing away and walking off frame. Renya is frozen in fear. Renya blinks to see his house filled with balloons and finds a note from the clown claiming that he has his sister and that if he pops all the balloons, he can see her. Renya pops the balloons and goes upstairs to find his sister in a cage. The clown approaches him menacingly. Renya wakes up, damp from sweat. It was just a dream. Did he even see the clown in the woods earlier, or did he hallucinate? Renya goes downstairs to feed the cat. The house would have an unbearable smell to anyone else. However, Renya is practically nose blind to it now. As he crosses the living room, he notices mud trailing from the back door into the house. The cat doesn't go outside, so how did this mud track inside? Renya sees the cat by the living room closet. He reaches down to pet him and something goes over Renya's face and he collapses into unconsciousness. He awakes a bit later in a car. He recognized the driver as the man who tried to play hide and seek with him earlier. Is this man looking for revenge? Renya looks over to his right to see his sister. His mind is fuzzy and he still doesn't feel quite right, and he falls back unconscious. Renya later awakes on a blanket. He looks around. He's in a house. The room is filled with full and smelly trash bags, kind of like his own. There's dark red stains on the wood and a hammer by the stains. Renya picks up the hammer and notices dark red chunky material on it. What happened here? He ponders to himself. Renya realizes he's not tied up or bound to anything. That's strange for a kidnapping. He looks around for a bit and realizes he can climb out his window onto the roof ledge protruding from the wall. He walks around the house and notices that he's on the second floor. While walking around the ledge, he finds his sister's window. He climbs into an adjacent hallway by his sister's room. More dried red stains on the floor. More full trash bags everywhere. Renya runs into his sister's room. Sister, let's get out of here. What are you doing? She snaps at Renya. I'm the one who asked the mister to kidnap us. I didn't see that coming. And I had him kidnap you too, she continues. Renya stares at her in disbelief. Sakiko reveals that it's her plan to get their mom's attention when they're missing, to make her return and love them. Renya retreats from his sister's room and sneaks downstairs, only to find the guy who had kidnapped them passed out on the floor, an empty beer can by his hand. He notices the keys on the floor by the man, and he quietly picks them up. Renya doesn't know his way around the house as he was knocked out when he was brought in. The bottom floor is littered with even more trash bags than the upper floor. More red stains everywhere. Even the bathroom is morbidly covered in red and has a bag full of red material. While looking around, Renya finds a diary in a closet with a page open. It details the point of view of a mother with control issues. She hits her son, Sarao, because he looks like him. I can only assume him is referring to Sarao's father. Unknown to Renya, not too long ago, Saraos was being berated by his mother. Eventually, he snapped and killed her with the very hammer Renya found on the floor of his room. Renya finds the front door and makes a beeline from the door to the main gate outside. It's padlocked. He uses the keys he found before to unlock the door, and the man finds him and forces him back into the house. Later, Renya's sister comes to his room and scolds him for trying to leave. It would seem that nothing can break her from this line of thinking. Renya ponders, should he obey his sister or escape on his own? Renya decides to listen to his older sister. He wasn't able to attend school any longer. As it stands, the kidnapper was actually fairly nice to the siblings provided they didn't try to leave. Kidnapping's still wrong though. After a few weeks, the police were notified as the siblings stopped attending school and a search began for them. Eventually, the police start checking houses and find the siblings. The man is arrested and the mother is called. Their mother seems to be happy to see the kids and that they've been found. She thanks the police officer and takes them home. Once inside, however, she begins shouting at them. She calls them a nuisance, shouts that she doesn't care about them. What a great mother, right? The mother walks out the door and Renya's sister is heartbroken over everything. But what would happen if Renya opposed his sister and decided to escape instead? Renya plans an escape. He can't let his sister in on the plan because she'll stop him. He waits until his sister is busy with the TV and the kidnapper's on the other side of the house. He quietly grabs the keys, slowly goes out the front door, and unlocks the gate. Renya looks carefully around. The last time he tried this, he was caught, but it seems he hasn't caught the attention of his sister or the kidnapper. He grabs the bike by the gate and rushes off the property. While on his way home, he hears a van coming in the distance. Could it be the kidnapper aware of him missing? He can't go home. The kidnapper has already shown that he knows where the house is and how to get inside, so Renya would just be kidnapped again. He remembers Kohime's offer of her mother and he decides to go there. Kohime's mother hears Renya out and goes to Sarao's house to collect Sakiko. It appears that no charges are really placed against Sarao for the kidnapping. I guess because everyone was safe and cared for, I guess. I don't know. Renya and Sakiko end up in a high quality foster center for kids and appear to be quite comfortable. Although one day their mother appears. She collects them without issue since she is their mother and manages to get them out before anyone can inquire about where she has been. On the drive home, she yells and chastises them. She demands an answer from Sakiko on how they ended up there. Sakiko elucidates the story of everything that happened. The mother, furious, drives to the kidnapper's house to tell off the man. This is where I don't understand this woman. She doesn't want her kids, leaves them abandoned in the house, but universe forbid that, you know, foster services or anything like that actually take care of them and make sure they have their needs met. Is this a narcissism thing? Sarao is gardening outside. He stands up as the mother approaches. The mother yells at him, gets close to his face. He can feel a couple droplets of spit hit his face as she yells at him. She shoves him a little. Sarao sees red. His own mother is in front of him. She's yelling at him. He loses control of himself and slashes her with the gardening tool he was holding. She falls to the ground and quickly bleeds out. Coming back to his senses and realizing what he's done, he screams and runs away. While Sakiko breaks down in front of their mother's body, Renya realizes that maybe this is a good thing. After all, she didn't want to take care of them, but also refused to let anyone else take care of them. Maybe now, Renya and Sakiko can be taken to proper foster care and have their lives not be interfered with again, but they'll be forced to deal with the trauma of losing their mother.